What is going on, everyone? My name is Thomas Minert. I am an agent with Remax Precision, and this is Thomas Talks on Thursday. This is a live stream that I do, hopefully weekly, where I talk about real estate news, real estate topics that you guys are interested in, local Des Moines news that I think you guys might find interesting. But in general, I want to get on here weekly to have a conversation with my friends, family, followers, and talk about things that you guys are interested in. So this is completely live. If you're watching this right now, you can go ahead and comment on the video and I will answer any questions that you guys have live, as long as it is real estate related, Des Moines related, anything that you guys are curious about and want to know my opinion on. Do not be afraid to comment. The idea is to have a conversation about stuff that you guys are interested in. So do not be afraid to comment. And let's get started. I'm going to start with some news about the Sphere real estate team, which for those of you who don't know, the Springer Brothers real estate team has been renamed, and we've gotten a lot of extra agents onto the team. It's really, really exciting. And one of the exciting things is this service that we are going to be adding on. So we have a partnership with a whole bunch of different contractors that do different projects on homes. And we are specifically helping you with the need of, sometimes sellers have projects that they want to do on the home before they list, or they have projects that come up through inspection that need to be done, but they don't have quite the cash to get the project done. So we have a partnership with all of these companies that you can see here, and we can get that work done for you, and it'll be paid out of your proceeds of the sale of your home. No financing, and it'll just get paid off later out of your proceeds, so you don't have to take cash out of the pocket until your sale of your home closes. So I think this is really, really exciting. Inspection issues normally come up. It's a common issue, and the seller really, really wants to say yes, but they're just in too tight of a bind cash-wise to make that happen. This gives them opportunity to be courteous to a buyer or make a deal not fall apart, but not feel so strapped for cash. So if you have more questions about that, do not be afraid to reach out to me and I can give you more details. The other scenario would be is you have some smaller projects like flooring, paint, or maybe even some bigger projects like a kitchen remodel or a bathroom remodel that you know would make your home sell quicker or for more money. I can also give you advice on what kind of projects you would want to do with that type of thing, but these companies will get that work done for you and you do not pay for it until your home sells. So if that is something you're interested in, do not be afraid to reach out and ask me any questions you have, and I can talk to you about it in more detail. But that is something we're very, very excited to talk about. But let's get into, I posted yesterday asking for people's comments saying, hey, the next home you buy, what are your must-haves? This is going to be kind of a quicker episode, but I think this could be interesting for people because asking people what they're most looking for in the next home can tell you where people see value. It can also give you an idea on maybe projects you want to do on your home, or it can give you an idea of what you should be looking at when you purchase your next home. I think these questions are always very, very interesting. So I'm going to go through them. I'm going to try to give maybe my opinion on whether it actually adds like physical value to a home. I'm going to give my experiences as far as how often this type of stuff comes up. And then at the end, I have a survey that Zillow did that asks people basically is the same exact question. So let's get into it. Let's look at some of the comments and see what some people asked. And this also can give you an idea if you're looking to purchase a home. It could give you plenty of different viewpoints from buyers as far as what they're looking at and what they think is important. I know a lot of people don't think about this when they are purchasing a home, but at some point in time, that home you're purchasing, you're going to have to resell. So you have to know what people like or don't like as far as how easy is it going to be for me to resell this home after I purchase it. Unfortunately, that is something you have to think about. So let's go through it. Kristen Rutledge commented saying they want a main floor half bath for the guest. This is a big one that I see, and it's not very uncommon, but You'll see a lot of two-story homes that don't have that half bathroom on the main floor. Maybe the basement's finished and there's a bathroom down there. Great. Upstairs, obviously, where all the bedrooms are, there's a bathroom up there. But it is very inconvenient to have no bathroom on the main floor where a majority of your guests are. They have to walk upstairs to your bedrooms to go to the bathroom up there. And it just becomes kind of cumbersome. And honestly, I don't know if any of you guys get weird like this, but it just kind of becomes uncomfortable. Your guests are going upstairs to where all your bedrooms are, where it's more of a private space. So it is something to think about. And it is something I point out to people often when they're looking at two-story homes, because if it does not have the half bath on the main floor, I always try to point out how awkward that can sometimes be. So Alicia Floyd commented saying they want a fenced-in yard, main floor laundry, and at least 2 bathrooms. The fenced-in yard, I know Alicia is pointing this out because she has dogs, and it is very, very convenient to have a fenced-in yard if you have a dog. The other one that often gets pointed out is, do you actually have a door that you can easily just open the door, let the dogs out, and let them into that fenced-in backyard? The other one I've heard that is important for people that have dogs is some sort of window on the back of the house where you can easily look and see your dog and make sure that they're not doing anything stupid or anything like that. But fenced-in yard is very, very common. And anyone that talks to me about potentially adding a fenced-in yard, I think that project is 100 out of 100 times worth your time. I think at the very least, you're going to get the money you put into that back. And it'll help your house sell a lot easier, because people that are looking for that, I don't necessarily not send them homes that aren't fenced in, but the second they see that fence, it just becomes that much more convenient, because that's one project that they don't have to do. And it is becoming a very, very common thing that something people want. Even if they have young kids, a privacy fence in the backyard adds a ton of value too. Main floor laundry. This is a very, very common request as well. Or if it's a 2-story home, laundry on the upstairs. Life gets so much easier if you have a main floor laundry or a second floor laundry. The only warning I give to people on that is you have to be even more paranoid, making sure your water supply line is firmly attached, because if you have a second floor laundry and that thing disconnects and sprays water all over your house, you're doing a lot of damage. But it is a really, really nice convenience to have. If you're watching and you see any of these that are also something you were looking for, don't be afraid to comment and join the conversation in that way as well too. We will get going here in just a second. It's 2 bathrooms. This is a very, very common one. You would be shocked how much value is added from going from that first bathroom to that second bathroom, because basically everyone wants multiple bathrooms. It is so, so common. And it's kind of funny, because when we go to the Zillow poll, you will see that. I don't know if it came up. So Tyler Thompson commented saying, no previous pets. We love them. Yes, we do love pets. People love their pets, but they do what pets do. So this is something to keep cautious of too. I have sellers maybe not be aware of this or need it pointed out by someone else, because at some point in time, you do just kind of become nose blind. Pets bring an odor. And if you're going to have the responsibility of a pet and have the responsibility of owning a home, you need to be very, very cautious of making sure when you do get ready to list, mitigating that smell as much as possible and repairing any of the damage that the pets might have done. I've never specifically had a buyer request to only see homes that didn't have pets, but I have had buyers go into showings and there was some sort of odor, and that turned them off. And it's just one of those projects that's really, really hard to tell if you're going to be able to even completely mitigate it. So it is a very interesting issue that comes up sometime, and something to be very, very cautious of. Let's keep rolling. We had a bunch of comments on this too, so I really appreciate everyone. We got to have at least 2 bathrooms. Once again, bathrooms. You guys are really, really concerned about where you're going to shower and where you're going to go potty, which I appreciate you guys being very, very realistic in understanding that it is important to have multiple bathrooms. Laundry access from the master. This is an upgrade I would love to have, is to have one, I would love to have a dedicated laundry room. And two, if it was right next to my primary bedroom, that is the dream, because that is another level of convenience that Alicia commented about it being on the main floor. So main floor office and primary bedroom, walkout basement. This is going to be one interesting, and anyone that's watching, I would love for you guys to comment. How important is that walkout basement? I've seen some comps that suggest a walkout basement is worth quite a bit, but honestly, it's never been something that's been high up on my list. I can see why it's appealing, but it's really, really interesting to me how much value it seems to add to a property. Main floor office and primary bedroom. Yeah. If you're gonna have a 2-story home, you'd be surprised on how much of an upgrade it can feel like if you do have a bedroom on that main floor. But that's kind of a buyer to buyer specific thing. I don't know if that's a real trend. So check in other sources to see if there's not any comments. Cassie wants for her a covered porch, and for the husband, a shop. Having a dedicated workspace for people that are handy is a big plus for that specific type of buyer. And honestly, I've seen a pretty good return on people that have like either a third stall at their garage or a separate shed that is actually a workable area, not just some musty, dingy hornet's nest that stores lawn equipment. Or if it actually has power set out to it, there's people that just go absolutely nuts for that. And that is a really, really big plus. Covered porch, that's another dream right there, is to not only have that deck or entertaining space off the back, but have it be covered, especially on a day like this where it is raining, and there's nothing more fun than sitting in a covered porch, enjoying a drink, and reading a book, listening to the rain in the covered porch. That's a great feeling. And if you have a deck, you don't get to enjoy it today like that without a covered porch. So Alma is looking for a contractor or a builder that's easy to work with. That is the dream. I would talk to real estate agents to see what experiences they have with the builder that you're looking at. And I would read any reviews you can find online. Take them with a grain of salt when reading reviews about builders online. But it's definitely, those are two good places to start to learn if a contractor is easy to work with, and ask that specific question to, like, what are your experiences when this builder had a warranty issue come up? What are your experiences when an inspection issue came up? Were they easy to work with as far as fixing it? And just clarifying all that. We got fenced-in backyard again. Very, very common. Related to having a fenced-in backyard, they want no HOA, because that is one of the requirements of an HOA lot. Unfortunately, if you're looking at newer construction, it is pretty hard to find a newer development that doesn't have an HOA. It's not impossible, but it's very, very uncommon. But you can find an HOA that will allow you to have a fence and everything like that. And there's even some developments in the Des Moines area that are townhomes that allow a fenced-in backyard. And if you want to know more about that, message me. I can definitely send you in the right direction, because that is one that is not easy to search online. You got to do quite a bit of digging to find that, but that does exist in case anyone is interested. Windows that actually open. This is an interesting one because for those of you that don't know, there's only by code certain windows that have to open in a house. In some new construction, to save money on the spots where the windows don't technically have to open, they're installing windows that can't be opened. And that is one of those things that I try to point out to buyers when they are looking at homes, but it's one of those things that they don't realize how much they want that until they move in sometimes, unfortunately. But not a very common one, but uh, something that comes up. So for sure. Jared wants a deck. Jared, you got to dream bigger. You got to get that covered porch, like they were talking about there. But yeah, deck off the backyard is pretty awesome. Decks add value as well too, especially if it is a nice deck. Definitely something to look at. Okay, so I'm gonna make this bigger. Let's do this. We've got more important home features for buyers. Now, the thing to remember here is this is a national poll, so it's not very Iowa specific, but I do think it's interesting comparing this to the comments that I got on this post. So let's read through this here really quick. Air conditioning. So a lot of people would think that that is kind of weird to see at number one, but you have to remember that there's some areas where air conditioning is not as common. And even in Iowa, I don't know what percentage properties it is, but a lot of them still don't have central air, which is something that I try to point out to buyers when they don't have that. But a lot of them are cooled by either mini splits or even worse, window air units. And the thing to know is just how much your electric bill can be increased by not having central air, and just how inefficient those systems are compared to having central air. Depending on the size of the house or how recently it was done, mini splits can work very, very well. But window AC definitely is not as efficient as central air, and it's not as cost effective. Within initial budget, this wasn't quite what I was asking on this post. I think in my post, it was understood that people would be looking within their initial budget. And I think it's interesting that it's worded as within their initial budget, because what ends up happening a lot of times is people talk to a lender, they get an idea of what they want their monthly payment to be to the lender. The lender writes them a pre-approval letter for that amount. And then they start looking at homes and they realize, hey, if I just increase my purchasing power by $25,000, I can get everything I need. And all I have to do is increase my budget a little bit. But the dream, obviously, is to tell your lender that monthly budget that you want, or that monthly budget that you can comfortably afford, and find that house right away, obviously. But those are kind of some things that you just don't really know until you talk to someone like me or a lender that I can recommend you to, and start figuring out what your budget would be, and seeing if what you need matches up really, really well with that initial budget. So it's definitely something to think about. Number of bedrooms, honestly, not surprising, because this is where a lot of my conversations start when trying to figure out what people want / what people need, is very bare bones. How many bathrooms do you need? How many bedrooms do you need? And if you just don't get the right amount of bedrooms, it's just a no, it's a non-starter. So square footage. This is interesting because I could 7 years in, I can tell you I've never had a buyer straight up say it needs to be a minimum amount of square footage, but you start to get a feel once they look at a few houses what they're comfortable with. Because sometimes you walk through a house that meets has the right amount of bedrooms, has the right amount of bathrooms, the garage is the right size, everything like that, but they just say it feels small. And then you look at that square footage, show them something bigger, and then all of a sudden it's the same amount of bedrooms, it's the same amount of bathrooms, house is in a similar condition, but all of a sudden they just feel so much more comfortable. And what you'll notice is that extra square footage is either going to make the primary bedroom the size that they wanted. It's going to make the living room more usable. It's going to make the kitchen more usable. That added space is going in somewhere where that previous home just didn't work. But once you start to get a better feel for, okay, Thomas, this worked, but this specific room was smaller, and then I can start figuring it out even more. And that's why a lot of times people always ask me how many homes you have to look at. And the truth of the matter is I've had buyers look at one home, offer, sold. And I've had buyers look at 62 homes, 68 homes, offer, sold. And you just don't really know until you know. But square footage and figuring out what rooms are most important are one of those reasons that looking at more homes helps, because you can start comparing A to B. What did I like about this? What did I not like? What is making it so I don't even want to offer on this home? So on and so forth. Private outdoor space. This is really, really interesting. And I kind of hinted at this before, but not only do I think a fence is really valuable, I think if you're putting in a fence, you should really, really think about putting in a privacy fence. Because one, not only do people want fences for their dogs, which I think is the main reason, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the main reason is people want a fenced-in backyard for their dogs. But the privacy fence makes it so much more appealing to spend more time back there for themselves. It makes it so much more comfortable for them to have their kids hanging out back there and everything like that. Floor plan, that's a pretty vague one, but that doesn't surprise me that that's high on the list. I'm going to remove this. Okay. And then potential to increase value. So this is kind of what this whole episode has been about when I've been showing you these things. All of these things that people are mentioning, if you add this to your house, or your house that you're looking at purchasing has some of these things, these people automatically see your home as more valuable. So I hope that kind of helps. And you can go back and watch this episode again. And I mean, I can have long, long discussions with you about what does and doesn't add value. I can have long discussions about neighborhoods or cities I would look at if I were looking at the potential to increase value, areas that I think are good. This is all be stuff that I love to talk about. And don't be afraid to reach out to me if you are thinking about starting that home search, or if you want to know about how that transition from selling your first home to purchasing one. There are multiple routes to go about that. And I can help game plan with you, set up a timeline with you, and make you feel super, super comfortable with the process. But otherwise, I really, really appreciate everyone for participating. I had tons of comments on that last post, so I really, really appreciate that. If you are watching this later, do not be afraid to comment with any questions that you have that you want me to answer next week. I will be live next week, and I hope you guys all stay dry from the rain. Thank you.